Let's go. So good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone's fine today. And I'd like to start today's session with a thought. Think about electricity, right? Electricity powers our homes, our hospitals, our schools, our businesses. But would any of us willingly touch an exposed power line? Of course not. Not because electricity is bad, but because electricity without safeguards is dangerous. Artificial intelligence is no different. AI has extraordinary potential. It can help us learn faster, create faster, solve problems faster. But without human judgment, ethical thinking, appropriate guardrails, the very same technology can create mistakes, misinformation, bias, and unintended harm. Today's session isn't about fearing AI. It's about learning how to use it wisely. By the end of this session, I hope I'll leave you with a simple but powerful understanding that AI is most valuable when humans remain responsible for the outcomes. Let's begin. Now, before we talk about AI, I'd like to ask you one simple question. Would you get into a driverless car today? Let's find out. Hands up or put it in the chat, the moderator. How many people will? Yeah. Interesting. Now, okay, and who wouldn't? Again, put it in the chat. Now here's what's fascinating. There isn't a right or wrong answer. Some people say yes because they trust technology. Some people say no because they trust themselves more than technology. Others may want proof before deciding, but regardless of which answer you chose, your answer tells us something important. It tells us that this isn't really a question about cars. It's a question about trust. As artificial intelligence becomes part of engineering, education, finance, medicine, and even the careers you will have in future, the biggest question won't simply be, can AI do it? The bigger question will be, can we trust it to do it safely, fairly, and responsibly? That's exactly what we're going to explore together today. Before we decide whether to trust AI, we first need to understand what it is. One of the biggest misconceptions is that AI thinks like a human. It doesn't. AI is incredibly powerful, but it's not human. Here's a simple way to think about it. Imagine the smartest student in your class. Now imagine that student has read millions of books, articles, websites, research papers in just a few minutes. That's artificial intelligence. It has seen enormous amounts of information. It recognizes patterns. It learns from examples. And based on those patterns, it predicts what is most likely to come next. That is why it can write essays, answer questions, generate images, and even help write computer code. But here's the important part. AI doesn't understand information the way you and I do. It doesn't have life experiences. It doesn't have emotions. It does not know right from wrong. It doesn't use common sense. Instead, it predicts the most probable answer based on the data it has seen before. That is why AI is helpful most of the time. But sometimes it confidently gives the wrong answer. Sometimes it invents facts. Sometimes it makes things up. These are often called AI hallucinations. And we'll talk more about this a little later. So remember, this one simple idea. AI is incredibly powerful for recognizing patterns, predicting probabilities, but it still needs human judgment. That is why people remain an essential part of every important AI decision. Now that we understand what AI is and what it isn't, The next question becomes more interesting. If AI can sometimes get things wrong, how do we make sure it behaves safely, fairly, and responsibly? That's where AI guardrails come in. So what are AI guardrails? Think about the safety rails on a bridge or along an edge of a mountain road. They don't stop cars from moving. They simply help stop cars from going somewhere dangerous. AI guardrails work in the same way. They don't stop AI from being useful. They are rules, controls, safety mechanisms that help AI behave safely, fairly, and responsibly. Let's look at 4 simple examples. The first guardrail is content filters. These help block harmful or inappropriate content. For example, if someone asks AI how to hurt another person or create dangerous materials, the system should refuse to provide that information. The goal is to make AI helpful, but not harmful. Moderation systems. The second guardrail is moderation systems. These detect harmful behavior such as bullying, hate speech, abuse, misinformation on online platforms. Imagine a social media site where offensive and harmful posts appeared without any checks. Moderation systems help reduce the risk and make online spaces safer for everyone. Privacy controls. The third guardrail is exactly that. It's a control. AI systems often work with large amounts of information. Some of that information is personal. Privacy controls help protect your personal data and ensure that it isn't shared or used inappropriately. Just because AI can access information doesn't mean it should. Protecting people's privacy is a fundamental responsibility. Human approval. Now, some decisions are simply too important to leave entirely to AI. Think about diagnosing a serious illness, approving a major bank loan, or deciding whether someone receives a prison sentence. AI can provide recommendations, but a qualified human should review the information and make the final decision. Humans remain accountable. So when you look at the shield on the right-hand side of this slide, it represents the purpose of AI guardrails. They help make AI safe by reducing harm and risk, make it fair by treating people equitably. It ensures privacy, protecting our personal information, and it's human-centered by ensuring people remain responsible for important decisions. Without guardrails, powerful AI can become risky. With guardrails, we can use AI more confidently and responsibly. Why do we need AI guardrails? So we have just seen that AI guardrails are the rules and controls that help AI behave safely and responsibly. But you may be wondering, why do we need them at all? The answer is actually quite simple. Every powerful technology comes with guardrails. Think about everyday life. When you get into a car, you put on a seatbelt. The seatbelt doesn't stop you from driving. It doesn't make the car slower. It protects you if something goes wrong. Now think about our roads. We have speed limits. They're not there to spoil the fun. They're there because without limits, accidents become more likely. The rules keep people safe. Consider medicines. Before a new medicine reaches a pharmacy or hospital, it goes through years of scientific testing. Why? Because we want to know it's both safe and effective before people use it. So every technology that has the power to improve lives also has rules that reduce risk. Artificial intelligence should be no different. AI enormous potential to help us learn, solve problems, improve lives. But if we use it without safety rules, without testing, without privacy protections, and without human oversight, the same technology can also cause harm. How do guardrails work? So far, we have talked about why AI needs guardrails. Now let's look at how they work. One common misconception is that AI guardrails are added at the end, almost like putting a lock on the front door after building the house. Now, that's not how modern AI works. Guardrails are built into every stage of the AI system. Let's walk through the 5 stages. Input filters. Before AI even starts generating an answer, it checks what the user is asking. For example, if someone asks how to build a dangerous weapon, hack into someone's account, or harm another person, the AI should recognize that this request is unreasonable and refuse to help. Think of this as the first security checkpoint. It helps stop unsafe requests before they become unsafe behaviors. Process controls. Now, this is where AI is working out its response. The controls help make the system fair, accurate, reliable. For example, developers continuously test AI to reduce bias, improve accuracy, make sure it follows the rules it has been given. It's a bit like quality control in a factory. Every product is checked before it leaves the production line. Human oversight. Even the smartest AI should make every important decision by itself. It shouldn't. Doctors review AI-assisted diagnosis. Teachers review AI-generated work. Judges don't allow AI to decide court cases on its own. Humans remain responsible because people, not machines, are accountable for important decisions. AI assists, people decide. Now, you got output checks, and before information reaches the user, the system performs another safety check. It looks for things like harmful advice, offensive language, misinformation, or biased responses. If something doesn't meet the required standards, the system may refuse a request or provide a safer alternative. This helps the chance of harmful information reaching people. And continuous improvement, finally. It goes through a cycle. So developers learn from mistakes. They fix problems. It's continuous improvement. They improve accuracy. They strengthen safety features. Just like your phone receives software updates, right? I mean, your firmware gets updated, your software gets updated. AI systems are regularly updated to become safer, smarter, and more reliable over time. When AI goes wrong, so far we have seen that AI is incredibly powerful. But there is something every responsible AI user needs to understand. AI can fail. Not because it's malicious, but because it doesn't think the way humans do. AI doesn't understand truth. It doesn't understand right or wrong. It predicts patterns from the data it's been given, and sometimes those predictions are completely wrong. Let's look at 5 common ways AI can fail. The first is called hallucination. This doesn't mean AI is seeing things. It means AI confidently invents information that isn't true. For example, it might create fake facts, fake quotations, or even references to books and websites that don't exist. The difficult part is that it often sounds convincing. That's why you should never assume that because AI sounds confident, it must be correct. Always verify important information. The second failure is bias. AI learns from human data. Data contains unfair patterns or stereotypes. AI can repeat them. For example, an AI system trained on historical hiring decisions might unfairly favor certain groups over others. The AI isn't trying to discriminate. It's simply copying patterns that already existed. That's why fairness testing is such an important part of responsible AI. Syncophacy, the third, is something that is a fancy word for telling people what they want to hear. Instead of challenging the wrong idea, AI may simply agree with the user to sound helpful. And I've encountered this myself a number of times. You say something and it agrees with you, you say something else and it agrees with you as well. It has to be asked to challenge you. So imagine asking, am I right about this? Sometimes you may agree even when you are mistaken. That's dangerous because learning doesn't happen when everything is simply agreed with. Good learning requires questioning, evidence, and critical thinking. The fourth is data poisoning. Remember that AI learns from data. If someone deliberately feeds false, manipulated, or low quality information into the training data, AI can learn wrong lessons. It's a bit like teaching a student from a textbook filled with incorrect information. The student isn't the problem. The information they learn from is. Adversarial attacks. The fifth is adversarial attacks. This happens when someone deliberately tricks an AI system. Sometimes only a tiny change can completely confuse it. For example, researchers have shown that placing a few carefully designed stickers on a road sign can cause an AI system in a driverless car to misidentify what it's seeing. To us, the sign still looks normal. To the AI, it can look like something completely different. This shows how even small manipulations can create serious consequences. So far, we've just seen AI, how it makes mistakes. Right? It can make mistakes. One of the most important mistakes we need to understand is bias. Okay, and here's the key idea. AI doesn't invent values, it learns from data, as I've mentioned. If data is trained on its balance and is representative, the AI is more likely to produce fair outcomes. But if the data is incomplete, one-sided, or reflects historical unfairness, then AI will learn those same unfair patterns. So biased data creates biased output. Think of AI like a student. If you give a student a textbook with unfair information, you shouldn't be surprised if they learn unfair lessons. AI is the same. Now, where do we apply this? Here, look at hiring. Imagine an AI system trained using decades of past recruitment decisions. If historically one group of people receive more opportunities than others, the AI may assume that patterns should continue. It isn't choosing to discriminate, it's simply repeating what it has learned. That is why organizations need to test AI systems carefully before using them in recruitment. The second example is lending. Banks increasingly use AI to help assess loan applications. But if historical data reflects unequal lending decisions, AI may unintentionally recommend rejecting applicants from a certain group, or neighborhoods, or backgrounds. Again, the AI isn't being unfair on purpose. It is copying patterns from the past. Responsible organizations regularly review these systems to make sure everyone is treated fairly. A third example is school or university admission. Imagine an AI trained mainly on students from certain groups or schools or regions. It may begin favoring applicants with similar backgrounds while overlooking equally capable students from different schools or communities. Talent exists everywhere. If the data doesn't reflect that diversity, AI won't either. The fourth example is law enforcement. Some AI systems help identify areas where crime may occur or assist in analyzing evidence. If the historical policing data contains bias, AI can unintentionally direct more attention towards certain communities while overlooking others. That's why decisions involving people's rights, freedoms, and futures should never rely solely on AI. Human judgment, transparency, accountability must remain part of the process. Because fairness isn't something AI creates by itself. Fairness is something humans must deliberately build into AI. Now, let's switch gears a bit and let's look at deepfakes. So far, we have seen that AI can sometimes be unfair because of biased data. But AI has another capability that's becoming increasingly powerful. It can create content that looks completely real even when it isn't. This is called deepfake. A deepfake is a AI-generated media that changes or creates images, voices, or videos so convincingly that many people cannot tell the difference. And if you go into social media today, there are tons of this. There are tons of this. So let's look at the first type of deepfake, something called face swapping. AI can replace one person's face with someone else's in a photo or video. Imagine seeing a famous athlete, teacher, politician apparently doing something shocking. The face may look completely genuine, but the entire video could have been digitally altered. That's why we shouldn't rush into believing everything we see online these days. The second type is voice cloning. AI can learn someone's voice after listening to only a short recording. It can then generate new speech that sounds almost identical to that person. Imagine receiving a call that sounds exactly like one of your parents asking you to transfer money urgently. That isn't science fiction anymore. It's already happening. The third type is fake videos. AI can generate videos in events that never actually happen. Someone could appear to give a speech they never gave. A celebrity could appear in a place they never visited. The technology is becoming so realistic that it's becoming increasingly difficult to tell what's genuine. The fourth risk is misinformation. Deepfakes can spread false stories extremely quickly. During elections, emergencies, major world events, fake videos can influence public opinion before anyone has time to verify the facts. A single convincing fake shared millions of times can damage reputations, create panic, or divide communities. Now, let's let's look at what experts say about videos, right? Some fake videos can look completely real. So how do experts check it then? They start with the file ID card. Metadata can reveal when, where, how the video was created or edited. They could look for digital fingerprints. Real cameras leave tiny patterns, much like fingerprints. AI-generated footage may not have them. Compression analysis can show whether a video has been edited, exported, or rebuilt several times. Experts can look for unusual colors, edges, skin texture, image noise, shadows, reflection, and light in the eyes should all agree. Think of it as checking whether every lamp in the room tells the same story. Watch the face very carefully. Blinking, lip movement, and facial expressions should now flow naturally, not like a poorly controlled puppet. Real faces show tiny changes caused by blood flow and breathing. AI may struggle to reproduce these consistently. Experts examine breathing, background noise, echoes, whether the voice truly fits the room. And they could even inspect it frame by frame. A video is like a digital flipbook. When viewed one picture at a time, changing teeth, fingers, hairs, and objects may reveal the trick. Digital signatures and provenance records can also show where the video come from and what's happened to it. So, the key message is that no single clue provides that the video is fake. It's like solving a mystery. The more clues that point in the same direction, the stronger the conclusion. But it's extremely important today in our context because someone could claim I did something. Someone could say, Pascal, you robbed a bank. I saw you the other day, right? And I may not have been there. And I may have to prove my innocence. Now, so far we talked about how AI can affect the information we see. Now let's talk about something even more personal. The information AI collects about us. Every time you use a phone, browse the internet, watch videos, shop online, or use AI tools, we leave behind digital information. That information has value. The first is data tracking. Many websites and apps quietly record what we do. They may track the pages we visit, how long we stay, what we search for, what videos we watch, and even where we tap on the screen. Individually, those actions don't seem important, but together, they create a detailed picture of our habits and interests. The second is data sharing. Sometimes the information we give one company is shared with another. For example, you might enter your email address into one app, but that information could be used to personalize advertisements or services across several different platforms. That's why it's worth taking a few seconds to read privacy settings and understand what you're agreeing to before clicking accept. The third is AI profiling. AI doesn't just collect information, it analyzes it. It builds a profile about you. It might predict the types of music you enjoy, the products you're likely to buy, the videos you probably watch. But it's important to remember that AI doesn't really know who you are. It only knows the patterns it sees. The fourth is data breach. Even organizations with strong security can sometimes be hacked. If personal information is stolen, it may include names, addresses, passwords, phone numbers, financial details. That's why strong passwords, two-factor authentication, and being careful about what we share online are so important. So far, we've talked about protecting our personal information. Now let's talk about protecting something else that's valuable: people's creative work. Artificial intelligence can now write essays, generate images, compose music, produce videos, and even write a computer code in seconds. Heck, some of my slides have been created using AI, as you probably realize by now. But that raises an important question. Whose work is it really? The first area is music and art. AI can generate songs, paintings, illustrations, photographs that look remarkably professional. But many of the systems have learned from millions of works created by real musicians and artists. Creators deserve recognition and protection for the time, the talent, and effort they've invested in producing original work. The second area is writing. AI can produce stories, reports, articles, essays within seconds. That's incredible. It's incredibly useful for brainstorming or improving your writing. But copying AI-generated work and pretending it's entirely your own is different from using AI as a learning tool. That's plagiarism. And this is a big thing in the universities today. I mean, I've been teaching in the university for part-time for about 10 over years. And plagiarism is something we look out for. And it's sometimes difficult to detect. Whether you're a student, whether you're in school or later in your career, just remember that honesty matters. Give credit where it's due. The third area is computer code. AI is becoming excellent at assisting programmers. It can suggest code, explain errors, speed up development. But developers still need to understand what the code does, check that it works correctly, and make sure they aren't unknowingly using protected material without permission. AI can help write software. It doesn't remove human responsibility. On this point, many years ago, I've been using Excel, and I was using formulas, writing, using VLOOKUPs and so on. And you probably are familiar with some of these things. Do you know that these things can be done by AI today? You can write VBasic, you can program in Python. It's incredibly powerful and amazing what it can do. Now let's look at films and videos. Okay, AI can now generate realistic videos, animations, special effects that once required large production teams. That's opening exciting creative opportunities. But it also raises important questions. Can AI imitate another filmmaker's style? Can it recreate an actor's appearance or voice? Should permission be required? If you look at the movie with Harrison's Indiana Jones, you find that they made him appear like a young man again. Harrison Ford is an old actor, right? So imagine what they have done, right? I mean, obviously with the permission of Harrison Ford. But this brings us to the topic about original work versus AI generated output. So on the right hand side, you can see two beautiful images. One's labeled original work, the other is AI generated output. They may look impressive, both, but one was created through a person's own imagination, experience, and artistic skill. The other was generated by artificial intelligence using patterns learned from existing material. The point isn't that one is good and the other is bad. The point is that we should always be honest about how creative work was produced. Now, thus far, we have looked at how AI works, why it needs guardrails, and some of the risks. Now, let's bring this much closer to home. The question isn't whether students should use AI. Many of you already do. The real question is, how should you use it? AI can be an incredible learning partner, but it can also become a shortcut that stops you from learning. Let's start with the positive side. AI can help you learn faster by explaining difficult topics in different ways until they make sense. It can help you be more creative by suggesting ideas, helping you brainstorm, showing you different ways of solving a problem. It can help you improve your work, check your grammar, provide feedback, and help you organize your thoughts before you submit an assignment. And perhaps most importantly, it helps you prepare for the future. Because almost every profession, from medicine to engineering to business, education, and law, is beginning to use AI in some form or another. We'll be talking about this tomorrow, by the way. Now, AI can also hurt your learning if you use it the wrong way, though. If AI writes your assignment for you, that's cheating. If you rely on AI for every answer, you develop dependency and your own thinking becomes weaker. Remember, AI can make mistakes. If you accept everything it says without checking, you will spread false information. And if you simply copy AI-generated work, you lose something even more valuable: your own originality, creativity, and voice. Now compare two students on the screen. The student on the left uses AI the right way. They use AI to understand difficult topics and explore new ideas. And they're doing the following things. When AI contributes, they acknowledge it appropriately. The student on the right is doing the opposite. Over time, they stop developing their own ideas, eventually lose trust of teachers, employers, and even themselves. So here's a lesson I'd like you to remember. AI should make your thinking stronger. Not replace your thinking, but make your thinking stronger. We have spent the last few minutes talking about what AI can do. Now we come to perhaps the most important slide in the entire presentation. Because no matter how intelligent AI becomes, it doesn't decide what is right or wrong. People do. AI can assist us, but it cannot replace our judgment, our values, and our responsibility. So whenever you use AI, I encourage you to remember these 5 simple actions. Question. Don't accept every answer simply because AI gives it to you. Ask yourself, does this make sense? Could there be another perspective? Curiosity is one of the most valuable skills you'll ever develop. Verify. Check important information using trusted sources. AI can occasionally be wrong or out of date. Responsible people don't stop at the first answer, they confirm it. On this topic, I've been using AI at work, and I use AI to analyze legislation and regulations. And I found that sometimes it can give you the right information, but quote the wrong clauses in contracts. They may say it comes from clause 6.4 when it's actually from clause 11.5. Now imagine if I had sent that information that I got from AI to the chair of my board. I would be in trouble, right? But I had to check it. And I found there was lots of errors, and I had to verify it. So verifying is very important. Care. Technology should help people, not harm them. Before sharing something created by AI, ask yourself, could this hurt someone? Is it fair? Is it respectful? Decide. Never let AI make important decisions for you. AI doesn't know your values, your goals, or your circumstances. It can give you advice, but you must make the final decision. And finally, speak up. If you see AI being used to bully someone, spread information, misinformation, create deepfakes, or cheat, don't stay silent. Responsible citizens help make technology safer for everyone. Now, let's look at what responsible AI looks like. First, be accountable. Be critical. Think for yourself. Question answers. Check facts. Good judgment is becoming more valuable, not less, in the AI age. Be accountable, as I mentioned. Be ethical. Use AI fairly. Don't use it to deceive, discriminate, or gain an unfair advantage. Technology should build trust, not destroy it. Be safe. Protect your personal information and respect the privacy of others. Think carefully before sharing photos, personal details, and sensitive information with any AI system. And be respectful. Behind every image, article, piece of music, or social media or media post is another human being. Respect people's rights, their privacy, their creativity, and their dignity. As we come to the end of today's session, I'd like to leave you with one final thought. The future won't belong to the people who simply know how to use AI. It will belong to people who know how to think alongside AI. Look at this image. It isn't a picture of technology leading people. It's a picture of people walking confidently into the future together. That's because the future isn't an AI story. It's a human story. AI won't replace people who keep learning. It will simply raise the value of those who do. And that brings me to the book you see here. Over the past 30 years, I've worked across multiple industries, functions, and countries, experiencing firsthand how careers change, how industries evolve, and how disruption creates both uncertainty and opportunity. And those experiences of mine eventually became a book, The Future of Careers, How to Adapt and Thrive in a Disruptive Age. So finally, I'd like to speak to you directly. You cannot predict exactly what the future will look like, None of us can. But you can prepare for it, keep learning, stay curious, use AI wisely, protect your integrity, and never stop developing the one thing technology can never replace: your character, your judgment, and your ability to adapt. Because as I believe, your future isn't found, it is forged. Thank you.